1274. The Mongol Empire, the largest land empire in history, sets its sights on Japan. On Tsushima Island, samurai stand ready to defend their home, but they're outnumbered, outgunned, and facing annihilation. This is Ghost of Tsushima, a game that puts honor against survival. But how much of this epic tale is real history? How much is samurai myth? And did the studio do its homework? Stick around to find out. Welcome to History Unfolded. Ghost of Tsushima, released in 2020 by Sucker Punch, drops us into the shoes of Jin Sakai, a samurai on a mission to save his island from the Mongol invasion. The game's stunning open world captures Tsushima's beauty: golden pampas grass, misty forests, and Shinto shrines. Jin starts as a traditional samurai, bound by the bushido code of honor: fight face to face, never strike from the shadows. But as the Mongols overwhelm the island, Jin becomes the ghost, using stealth, poison, and guerrilla tactics to fight back. It's a story of survival, sacrifice, and the clash between tradition and necessity. The game sold over 10 million copies by 2024, earning praise for its visuals and combat. But does its history hold up? Let's break it down. To understand Ghost of Tsushima, we've got to go back to 1274. The Mongol Empire under Kublai Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan, spanned from China to Eastern Europe, covering 23 million square kilometers. Kublai had conquered Korea by 1259 and set his eyes on Japan, demanding tribute. When Japan's Kamakura shogunate refused, Kublai launched an invasion. In November 1274, a fleet of 900 ships carrying 40,000 Mongol, Chinese, and Korean troops landed on Tsushima Island, a small stepping stone to the Japanese mainland. Tsushima's defense was led by So Sekokuni, the island's governor, with just 80 samurai and a few hundred militia. The Mongols were brutal. They used gunpowder bombs, a new technology in Japan, and massacred civilians, burning villages to the ground. Historical records, like the Hachiman Godokun, describe the samurai's defeat at Komoda Beach. So Sekokuni died and the island fell in days. The Mongols moved on to Iki Island, then Hakata Bay. But a typhoon, later called a kamikaze or divine wind, destroyed their fleet, saving Japan. So that's the history, but how does the game compare? Let's start with what Ghost of Tsushima gets right. The Mongol invasion is spot on. Khotun Khan, the game's villain, is a fictional cousin of Kublai, but his tactics reflect Mongol strategies: psychological warfare, burning villages, and using captured locals as shields. The game's depiction of Tsushima's landscape is also accurate. Its beaches, forests, and shrines mirror the real island, which even hold up to modern photos. Even the kamikaze storm that ends the invasion is historical, tying to the 1274 typhoon. But that's where real history ends and the game diverges. Jin Sakai and his uncle Lord Shimura are fictional, and the game's samurai honor code is romanticized. The Bushido code as we know it wasn't fully codified until the Edo period 300 years later. In 1274, samurai were more pragmatic. They would retreat or use guerrilla tactics if needed, not always fighting face to face. Jin's ghost persona, stealth, poison, assassinations, and such is framed as dishonorable, but historical samurai weren't above such tactics. The Hachiman Godokun mentions samurai using ambushes against the Mongols. Also, the Mongols' gunpowder bombs are fully accurate. They used early grenades called tetsuhao, but the game exaggerates their scale for drama. And the civilian massacre, funnily enough, they are underplayed. Historical accounts describe Mongols killing thousands on Tsushima, often in gruesome ways, like nailing survivors to ships as warnings. The game shows some brutality, but focuses more on Jin's personal journey. I guess for that we can be grateful. So does Ghost of Tsushima nail history, or does it lean too hard into samurai myth? Let's talk about the samurai. The game paints them as noble warriors, bound by honor, fighting for their people. But 13th century samurai were often tax collectors for the shogunate, enforcing harsh laws on peasants. Some historians, like Thomas Conlon in Little Need of Divine Intervention, argue samurai loyalty was more about land and power than honor. Many switched sides if it suited them. Jin's moral struggle, honor versus survival, feels cinematic, but it's a modern lens on a messier reality. The game also simplifies Tsushima's culture. It shows Shinto shrines and Japanese traditions, but the island's population in 1274 included indigenous groups, possibly early Ainu, who aren't mentioned. This sets the stage for Ghost of Tsushima, which we'll cover later in the year when it releases. It dives into the Ainu in 1603 Hokkaido. Finally, the Mongols are portrayed as one-dimensional villains. In reality, Kublai Khan's empire was a cultural melting pot, blending Chinese, Persian, and Mongol traditions, something the game doesn't explore. So, what's the verdict on the game? Ghost of Tsushima is a masterpiece of storytelling and visuals, but as far as the history goes, it's a mixed bag. It nails the Mongol invasion scale, Tsushima's beauty, and the kamikaze storm, but it romanticizes samurai honor and simplifies the era's complexity. The real 1274 invasion was much more brutal, the samurai more pragmatic, and the cultural stakes more diverse than the game shows. Still, it's a great starting point to learn about this pivotal moment, and it sets up Ghost of Tsushima's Ainu focus perfectly. So, what do you think? Does the game do history justice, or is it just too much myth? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching History Unfolded. If you enjoyed this deep dive, smash that like button and subscribe for more gaming history. Next up, check out our KCD2 video live now to see if it's a historical flop. Until next time, stay curious.